Good afternoon, YouTube. I'm in downtown Dayton 2 days after the presidential election, and I am going to offer my thoughts on this election and some of the results in the aftermath. But overall, I'm not going to really comment too much on what I think the Trump presidency may hold. I'll save that for other videos, but I will offer a few thoughts on that. But anyway, as far as I know, things here in Dayton, as far as protests, I haven't really known of any. Of course, they've been probably smaller in pocket if they have. Things have been pretty peaceful. There has been some stuff up in Cleveland. I'm on the banks of the Great Miami River in downtown Dayton, below the YMCA, that building right there. It's an absolute beautiful day. Sun is shining out. Wall-to-wall sunshine today, not a cloud in the sky. But anyway, you know, this election, you know, Americans are going to have to get used to something. And they're going to have to get used to a lot of things. And I don't care, you know, whether you're white, black, woman, Latino, gay, or whatever. People are going to have to get used to the fact that we're going to be uncomfortable. Every group, no matter who you are, or no matter what you represent, whether you're Christian, Catholic, agnostic, black, white, gay, whatever, you know, we're living in very uncomfortable times. The days of being comfortable in this country, well, I frankly don't even know when the last time they existed, but I think it's very evident now that people just are going to have to get used to the fact that comfort just doesn't exist. But you know what somebody said before, you know, when I was watching, you know, Jamel Hill on back on ESPN a couple months ago, she said something that was very true. You know, and of course, me being an inner city resident, I sympathize with some of the blacks on their point of views, because I'm an inner city resident, so I see a lot of poverty myself. But she said something that was very true, that resonated, that if we were worried about being comfortable, people would still be drinking out of separate water fountains. Fact check, that's very true. And if we were, you know, if we were worried about being comfortable, the bottom line is nobody would have any rights, no matter who you are. You know? And nobody would have ever had courage to, you know, do the right thing. But I think, you know, this election, you know, obviously a preconceived notion, which I think is pretty accurate for the most part, you know, that Trump had to target, you know, white supporters, especially ones that were, you know, not of the higher end of the, you know, high end of the economic class or higher class whites. He had to get the whites that are in the lower and middle class, the ones that don't really have a college education or don't really have much of one, or just minimal ones that are just, you know, just your ordinary working class, you know, which I'm not surprised that he, you know, won states where, like, that dynamic exists. Like where I live at in Dayton, Ohio, you know, that population dynamic exists all throughout the Great Lakes region, the Rust Belt area. Anywhere from St. Louis to Buffalo to Detroit, Baltimore. You could basically draw a big circle around the Great Lakes. And you could find that dynamic in like any region of here, because all these towns, you know, and cities they had the common denominator of a lot of them were Catholic, a lot of them had poor whites from down south, poor blacks from down south, and they came here for the jobs at one point in time when they were plentiful. So, you know, those were the people. I mean, of course, the blacks were very fearful of Donald Trump, you know, for a lot of reasons, which, you know what, I don't really know enough about all of that to really get into, you know, a whole lot of detail. But I think they clearly feared that, you know, Trump would, you know, reverse gains that they felt were beneficial made under Obama, you know. But when you look at the states that Trump has won, you know, in this election, they hadn't gone Republican for quite some time. But the thing we got to remember, Trump is not a traditional Republican. He's far from that. He's never going to be the biggest advocate for Christian beliefs, although I do think he will come around on that to keep, to try and keep the party content and party aligned. But he was never going to be the country's biggest advocate as far as, for like evangelicals and Catholics and so on, and, vice versa. But I think, this election was, the, people, the whites that voted for Trump clearly said F you to the establishment, that we're sick and tired of career politicians like Hillary Clinton. Obama was a politician for a long time, but I honestly don't know if I would really call him a career politician, only because he won the presidency as a young man, early to middle 40s, which, I think he was 46. I think he was born in 61, 62. But he won the presidency by relatively young standards, so he was younger than many of his contemporaries that are judges, But I think, the bottom line is, we're going to have to get used to the fact that there is no more being uncomfortable. There was a couple videos that I shared with you guys last night that I sent out to my YouTube, and Google audience, which hopefully you guys saw those. And they were one of them was a very impassionate or passionate speech from a black man that lives in Detroit, Walter Gittlesleeve. And, he ranted about the fact that blacks are going to have to get used to the fact that they're not going to be comfortable, that Trump will go after the inner cities and the crime if it doesn't get cleaned up, that he's not playing around. And that was probably the most passionate video I've seen on that subject in a while. And I just pray for people that we're going to get our act together and just realize that, I've talked about, being uncomfortable. The campaign had to happen this way. We were not going to Mr. Nice Guy politics or Miss Nice Lady politics. In other words, playing nice guy politics. We're not going to win this election. Like, I heard so many people say that this was the nastiest election campaign they've ever seen. And I certainly can't say I disagree with that. Because compared to the last two, when Obama was running, the last time I can really remember a campaign that got nasty, and this was mild compared to that one, was when Bush Jr. and President George W. Bush Jr. ran his second term, against, John Kerry. That was pretty nasty, but it was nowhere near the level that we're seeing now. But people have made it known that they're sick and tired of the establishment politicians. And you know what I say? Great. Because it's been long overdue that we wreck the establishment. It's kind of funny. I was looking in the middle of the river. The geese kind of look like they're kind of bouncing off the water. But, Trump played on, the stuff that we were pissed off about, which, it was smart by him. He had to get people fired up over the immigration issues. Yes, he had to get people fired up over the trade deals. He had to rattle people's nerves and to get them fed up and to believe that he's going to champion for them. And it's going to, it's going to be very interesting to see how much of the stuff Trump can do. I clearly think, some of his executive orders, obviously he's going to put an end to the Affordable Health Care Act. He's going to put an end to the Syrian refugee program. He's going to get very serious about deporting, criminals that are here illegally and have committed crimes. He's going to get very serious. He's going to get very serious about that. He's not freaking playing around. And will he institute martial law or send in the National Guard to restore order to some cities? That's a you know, when I watched that video of Walter Gildersleeve, he said, listen, he will send in power if he has to get control of cities like Chicago, Detroit, Atlanta, Baltimore, St. Louis, that he's not messing around with that crap. That he's going to get very serious about cleaning up these problems. And of course, you know, Pandora's box is going to be open like never before when that happens, because and I think, you know, the whole Hillary Clinton thing, which I haven't really touched on her that much during this video, I'm going to get to her now. The bottom line is people were tired of these lying, crooked, criminal politicians. You know what? I'm trying not to use the F word during this. I'm trying to only use crap or whatever, you know. But people were tired of establishment politicians like Hillary Clinton, who have never had a job outside of politics, or at least people don't recall her or her husband having a job outside of politics for a long time. And they don't even know the last jobs they had. Sure, they both went to law school, but when's the last time they used their law degree in a lawyer profession? But, you know, and I think the Democrats were clearly wrong to run with somebody who was under investigation from the FBI, who compromised national security with those emails, an unsecured email server. Somebody that's just a blatant, flat-out liar and a thief. You cannot run like that, people. You cannot. Eventually, people are going to say, F you, and we've had enough. And I think, especially a lot of the working class, you know, especially a lot of the white working class, they were really fed up with this, you know, crap, you know. And she should be in prison. She had no business ever being allowed to run for the highest office in our land. And the fact that she was coddled and protected, I think, really pissed a lot of people off. Even some people I know who are traditionally Democrats even were pissed off about the way she was coddled, and protected, you know? Let's say it like it is. She was coddled and protected by the establishment, people. She would not have been allowed to have ran for office if she wasn't. But, and you know, I think, you know, getting back to this and getting back to other things, I'm sure I'll touch on her more in another video. And also something else, the mayor's Twitter account of Dayton Nan Whaley, who was the biggest fucking jack-off. Yeah, I did finally say the F word. Fuck you, Nan Whaley. Fuck you, Hillary Clinton. I'm done being nice. You know, I was logging onto her Twitter account the other night. She had nothing to say. Her account, the only thing she retweeted, mentioned was the Issue 9 levy, which was a tax scam that got passed by the dumb residents of Dayton, Ohio, that passed that levy. And, you know, her Twitter account was largely silent. I did not see one post about the presidential race, so I guess she ran and tucked her tail, because I guess her idol and the person that she jacks off to lost. You know what, Nan Whaley? It serves you fucking right, you stupid cunt bitch. Your idol lost. And, you know, I'm going to close with a few things. This video's been going on for a while, but I'm going to try and wrap it up soon. Because sometimes longer rants just aren't good, but there's been a lot of stuff to cover here. But, you know, with the Affordable Health Care Act was another criminal act. Listen, people need to have health care. But here is the problem. You cannot force commerce down the American public or down anybody. That is illegal and fucking criminal. You cannot mandate to somebody, you have to buy insurance. That's not how it works, people. You can't mandate to somebody, you know, you got to buy insurance. And you also cannot mandate to somebody, they gotta violate their freaking conscience. You know, like, you cannot tell somebody, okay, as a medical professional, you have to do this, you have to do that. You cannot make people do what's fucking evil on their jobs. People have a right to refuse shit that they know is fucking evil and wrong. So like, you tell a nurse or whatever, okay, you got to abort this baby, or, you know, basically anything, or you got to, you know, give this patient a suicide shot, just basically anything in the medical gamut, the medical field, as far as the gamut runs, that people know is just freaking evil and just immorally wrong. You can't force that on people. And I hope that Mr. Trump will, well, Mr. Trump, I think, will ultimately start protecting people as far as that goes. Because obviously, Obamacare, you know, Obama did not want to budge on that. You know, people were said, you know what, we're not going to force us to violate our conscience and do shit that we know is wrong. But Obama was fucking hell-bent on doing it. You cannot do that to people. I think there were parts of the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare that could have been good, that would have been worthwhile saving. But those two things killed it. And the fact that the insurance premiums are just fucking through the roof. But you know, we're facing dark times, and we're gonna have to get used to being uncomfortable. I mean, I'm going to address what I think Trump is capable of doing, and that in another video. There was something else I was going to say, but it's not really coming back to me at this moment or this point in time. But we're in for some dark times, people. We're not going to be comfortable anymore. We got to get used to that. Oh, the other thing I was going to say, and I'll finish saying this in closing. Hillary Clinton is a far much more diehard liberal than Obama was. Not that I'm saying Obama wasn't. But if you want my opinion on this, Hillary Clinton would have made Barack Obama look conservative as president. He was a very liberal president, you know. But she would have made Obama look conservative. And the fact is that people knew that we were in deep shit if she got elected, that she's an evil fucking woman. Like Trump said, oh, you're a nasty woman. Yeah, he's telling the truth. She's a lot more than nasty. Fucking evil cunt. But, it's largely quiet. There is a couple people going down the bike path. It's a good day to ride the bike. It's about 55, 58 degrees outside. But the thing I want to say too, you know, I talked about how the campaign had to be ran nasty, and it had to be this way. And whether or not we like it or not, that's just reality. But I think overall, with just a couple people going by on the bike, I figure I'd let them get by before I finish my thoughts. But I think, you know, with the campaign, you know, Hillary tried the old tricks of every experienced politician of this election. It didn't work. People weren't buying it. She tried to play the woman card. She tried to play the children card. Oh, saying, oh, I'm a champion of children. Oh, I'm a champion of women. You're fucking full of shit, Hillary. And so is anybody that fucking supports you. You know, you a murder, fucking child, abortion, and not to mention all the people who were going to testify against Hillary, who suddenly disappeared, who got murdered. What's another thing is, the media coddled and protected her too. But if you go to, you know, news outlets who are not affiliated with any news network like InfoWars or other ones like that, it was all over about how prisoners, how people that were witnesses were getting killed by her. But yet you never heard that in the media. And I would love to see Trump prosecute that bitch to the fullest extent of the law. Not just for Benghazi, but all of her fucking crimes and lying. But I think, you know, Trump, of course, you know, the media tried to portray him as more volatile, which in all honesty, he is more volatile. But he But people like that about him. They like that, you know what? They can say, you know what? He don't give a fuck about what you think. He's going to do what he knows needs to be done. And that appealed to people. So, you know, they tried to play the card, oh, he didn't look very presidential, or Hillary looked more presidential. Well, being presidential and being president are two entirely different things. I mean, Trump, I think, outside of the debates, he actually took the high road. When you look at the last couple months of political ads, I think Hillary ran the more nasty campaign and the more nasty campaign. She tried to slam his character a lot more than Trump tried to slay hers. Not that I'm saying Trump didn't do a lot of it, because he did. But obviously, Hillary played the woman card. She championed of all this other bullshit, you know, and just say, oh, you ain't paid your taxes well, and then Trump fired back at her. Well, you know what? You and your husband passed laws that allowed me to get by without paying taxes. Give me a fucking break. That was not an issue in this election. There was a lot of diversion tactics in that. But it's just, this election was just so ugly and just full of so much, you know, BS that it just, there was no way we were going to have a nice campaign, people. And depending on, and it probably is not going to be that way in 4 years either. But I don't know if it'll be near as nasty, because obviously, you know, we are a divided nation. You know, we've segregated ourselves amongst various groups, and it's just, we're in a difficult times. But anyways, I will follow this up with another video if I want to expand more of my thoughts on this. I'm sure I will at some point in time, but I think I've went on for long enough, 22 minutes, but it's just time that we take a stand. Well, we have taken a stand as a country, and we got to continue to take a stand. But, you know, I wish Mr. Trump nothing but the best. Yes, I did vote for him. I will not vote for a fucking criminal like Hillary Clinton. But I just want to say, you know, we got to pray for each other, and just God bless and everybody, and just we gotta really come together and just do what we know is best for each and everybody. Nobody's ever gonna be equal, no matter how hard you try. We all gotta, you know, work on our strengths and do the best that we can at things. But that's it for this one.